The Medical Courier Connection podcast is brought to you by Key Software Systems and Risk Strategies. At Key Software System, we believe that every delivery has a story, and it starts with you. That's why we built an ecosystem uniting accounting, delivery, tracking and shipping, reporting, and more to not only bring full delivery transparency to your customers, but to reduce errors and inefficiencies that stand in the way of over-delivering on your customer expectations. We'll drive the heavy lifting that keeps your business innovative with the latest technology so that you can focus on building connections with your customers. At Risk Strategies, we were founded in 1997 on the premise that an insurance brokerage could be more, a trusted risk management advisor and partner where a focus on employees and client needs would create value and success. Discover the difference of our specialist approach. We're here to help you see the way forward in a complex world with specialty insight, practical advice, and custom insurance with a vast network of specialists in property and casualty, employee benefits, private client, as well as consulting services and financial and wealth management solutions.
Hey everybody, hey everybody, hey everybody, hey everybody, Ken with Integrity, Ken with Integrity, Ken with Integrity, Ken with Integrity Medical Courier Training.
We are providing on-site training in Roseville, Minnesota.
A man's digits turn blue due to too much cannabis use. A woman in Melbourne, Australia dies after being scratched by Minty, her cat. Stole the hearse and dumped the body on the side of the road, still strapped to the gurney, and then continued on with their joyride. A dog had to be put down after it was crushed by a package thrown over a garden fence, its owner's claim. So, stay compliant, my friends. Get all your medical courier training needs from us at www.integritydelivers.com.
Welcome back to the Medical Courier Connection podcast.
Hey, yeah, welcome back. So we just returned from a trip to Minneapolis, or better yet, Roseville, Minnesota. We go out there every year and provide on-site training for a large courier company out there, and they're doing a lot of medical map transportation. And we finally got to corner the owner, Josh Grave, who has kind of taken over the reins. His dad was the founder, and he tells a little bit of that story in this podcast. But I asked him if he would come on and just kind of tell his story. So I consider this the next in what I call the Courier Company Owner series of podcasts, because there's thousands of couriers looking to get into this industry right now all over the country. And as they watch these podcasts, they learn how to, better be equipped to do their job properly. But these owner podcasts really help you see where you can go. You see other people have a story, and they sacrifice, they grinded it out and worked really hard to get where they are. And I think it's encouraging to have these podcasts so that couriers can learn. Listen, everybody's got a story. Your story is going to be your own, but there is a path. There's no shortcut to success. And I think Josh does a great job of kind of laying things out for us.
Yeah, I'm loving this series. I think the insight from courier company owners to people who are just getting into it, or even people who have been in the courier industry, is invaluable for sure.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, really. Absolutely. There are some stories that we couldn't include in because they're like client specific, but when I go to these conventions, we're going to be going to multiple conventions in 2026, but I always meet with courier company owners. Some of them are our clients. Some of them want to be our clients. And, they all have stories of where couriers did this or that or the other. And it turns out to be a great story of going above and beyond, or a not so great story where a driver, impacted patient care, or they had multiple HIPAA violations in one delivery or whatever. And I think those stories certainly are great for us to kind of add on to just our, kind of a cadre of good stories, bad stories, learn from this types of stories. And you're right. I love these podcasts, especially from courier company owners. They have a story to tell.
Yeah, definitely. So, without further ado, I think we're ready to start.
Let's go.
All right. Hey, Josh Grave, thanks so much for agreeing to sit down and talk a little bit about courier work. Sure. The Medical Courier Connection podcast. So you know us as Integrity Medical Courier Training. We've been out here for years, doing our on-site training with your drivers for specimen handling. We also have the Medical Courier Connection. So what the Medical Courier Connection is, it's a community of couriers that are kind of learning and growing from with each other. We have courier companies that are on our page that list their capabilities and where they're located, things like that. Now, MAP, for having us out every year, you guys are on there automatically.
That's great.
Okay, so but the contractors will list their capabilities and their availability. We just got back from a conference in Ohio so what we do is we go to pharmaceutical and regulatory conferences and represent the membership and let them know, hey, guess what, there's trained, qualified medical couriers out there, and we just so happen to have a list where you can find them. And so that's what the Medical Courier Connection's been doing. We've been, Medical Courier Connection, has been around for 10 years.
Okay.
Co-hosted the 2013, 14, and 15 Medical Transportation Summit that we hosted up in Denver, where we brought in speakers from various medical specialties and courier companies that wanted to service them and stuff like that. So the podcast, the Medical Courier Connection podcast, we started that a little more than a year ago. We got like 22 podcasts up currently, and we've got experts in different specialties, and we've got courier company owners. And I just thought we'd sit down and talk a little bit about your journey and your family's journey into this space. As a reminder, I started my first courier company, AlphaStat Courier Services, here in Minneapolis in about '96. And so been there, done that, but I wanted to get your perspective because you have quite the operation going on here. So if you don't mind sharing a little bit about the family's background, company background, and then we'll talk a little bit about some of the challenges that you've experienced and kind of where you see things heading. So,
So we started back in '73. My dad started a floral delivery company called Tonka Pool. It was a hub and spoke program, basically, that operates like a FedEx type of deal.
Wow.
The flower shops in the Twin Cities, there were like 200 of them.
Yeah.
If it wasn't the owner getting in the car, driving it across town, they had to pay one of their employees or something. There really wasn't an option for delivery services. And keep in mind, this is before cell phones.
Right.
And I remember driving around with my dad where the beeper would be going off and he'd be listening at the beeper and, pulling into a gas station to use a payphone. But,
Yep.
Yeah, but he started this hub and spoke program. So we had drivers throughout the city, just like FedEx would or UPS. They're picking up at all these different flower shops. They bring it down to our sorting facility. And then all the deliveries for, say, Northeast goes on a table, Northwest goes on a table. And I think we had 25 different zones for, I'd say, probably 45 miles.
Wow.
Radius from where we're at.
Yeah.
It was at one point the largest floral delivery network in the United States.
Wow.
In 1999, some people from the automotive industry were like, well, that's kind of cool. Can you do that with automotive parts? And where UPS and FedEx do it next day, we're doing it the same day.
That's impressive.
Yeah. So we started MAP back then. It used to be called Metro Auto Pool.
Yeah.
We switched. We had in the last 5 years changed our name. 10 years maybe, changed our name to MAP Transportation, and started delivering for automotive. We ended up, because of the routes that we were doing and the clients that we had to go 150 miles out in just about every direction.
Yeah.
And the budget for a lot of these guys was minimal for these automotive guys.
Yeah.
So they were kind of the anchor of the route, and then we added some additional, body shops that we were going to and this and that. And we were going 150 miles at the time for $22. Same day.
Yeah. Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah.
Now, if you load up a truck with several stops,
exactly,
you can make it work.
Yeah, that's where that pooling, we call it a pool. Other people might call it like a sorting or a sort or whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, we'd pool these orders together, and we'd end up getting some concentration for these further out areas.
How many drivers did you guys have in the early days?
think Tonka probably had 25.
Okay, that's not bad.
Yeah. I mean, it started with 2 or 3.
Yeah.
You know, my dad, I think maybe Pat, and one other guy. So we started pretty small. And just grew.
Yeah, how many drivers you guys running now?
So we have Tonka, which is still the flour aspect of it.
Yeah.
Then we have the separate company, Map Transportation. And I think between the two companies, it's probably about 120.
Okay.
drivers.
And how many years did it take you guys to get to that size?
So Tonka started in 73.
Okay.
Map started in 99 or 2000.
Okay.
And I think probably for the first 3 or 4 years, we ran a core group of maybe 8 guys.
Wow.
And
Yeah.
and then just kind of grew from there.
That's impressive. How did COVID impact business? Because I mean, I've got multiple companies. One that comes to mind is a good friend of ours, but he owned a business, or he owns a business in New York City.
Mm-hmm.
And when COVID, when the lockdowns hit, there was like full stop.
Mm-hmm.
And he almost didn't make it. There was a real gut check time where he had to get creative on how to keep his business going and to save it. At that time, this guy he owned 2 warehouses. He had closed his or he still had the lease. He was carrying the lease on the previous location, and they were in a new location.
Sure.
Well, when you're operating a full business, you can carry that cost, but when it's full stop,
Yeah.
now you've got the cost of multiple employees plus 2 buildings that they're floating. Nightmare.
Yeah.
But how did COVID impact you guys? How did you?
It was fantastic for business.
Really?
Yeah, it was. We had a couple of our biggest years during COVID. We were doing some of the COVID
Vaccines.
tests and
tests.
vaccines.
That's
Yeah.
right. That's right.
Yeah.
Because we were still flying around. We still came out.
Yeah.
And so since then, I mean, so you guys didn't really pivot. It's been business as usual. You have your market.
Yeah, the flowers, we had to get a little creative with how we presented that. We had opportunities to, if I'm remembering right, is it crazy that was already 5 years ago?
Yeah.
I mean, somebody said that on the radio yesterday, and I was like, wow.
Seems like yesterday.
Yeah. But yeah, we had to get a little creative with how we explained what we did to the companies, or to the state. Everything was social distancing. We had, I still have my sign up on my door that says, do not enter, or whatever.
It works.
Yeah. Yeah, most of the time.
Yeah.
But, we had to, I think we were paying actually, $1,500 a week to have vehicles and the offices disinfected.
I believe it.
And then we ended up of course there was always somebody that was upset and called OSHA on us.
Are you serious?
Yeah, one of our drivers. I don't have this definitively, but I have it on. It's a pretty good educated guess that I know who did it. She left shortly afterwards. But I sent OSHA pages of the precautions that we were doing and everything that we were doing and what we were doing.
What was the accusation?
That we weren't following the social distancing, the guidelines presented by the state, masking up and such.
Yep,
And
I remember
we were.
setting up in the warehouse, and all the chairs had to be 6 feet apart from each other.
Yep.
It was madness. Funny story. So I was here during that time, and I went to Whole Foods out in Maple Grove.
Yeah.
And I was marveling that they had these huge panels of plexiglass between the cashiers. And I grabbed my phone and I took a picture to send to my family. Chris, you may have to cut this story out, and he will. And I took a picture of the panels, and there was a lady standing in front of me in yoga pants, and she was looking back at me like I was some lech, and I'm like, no, that's not what this is. But it was the precautions that we took to and we had to deal with. If you stand on this, and again, Chris, you might have to edit this out. But if you just stand on these these arrows on the floor, you won't catch COVID. But if you veer off, you're going to get sick.
Right, right.
If you stand up in a restaurant, you got to mask up. But if you're sitting down, you won't get COVID. It was madness.
Yeah.
So
none of it really made a whole lot of sense.
There was a restaurant, a really fancy restaurant in Colorado Springs. You can't eat inside the restaurant because you get COVID, but you can eat inside the tent outside the restaurant and you won't get COVID.
Yeah.
Make that make sense. But during that time, we got contacted from the Federal Department of Health in Washington, D.C. They wanted guidance and training. We gave them that. They had a group of forensic scientists that were going out to crime scenes, and on the way back, pick up the COVID sample. So we were training forensic scientists at that time as well. So yeah, we were pretty busy during COVID as well. And, it is what it is. Medical couriers, when a new pandemic hits, you're out there, you're on the front lines. That's why, when we do the training on Saturday, I'll be reminding the guys and gals that, it doesn't hurt to pay attention to national outbreaks, regional outbreaks, local outbreaks. Pay attention because you may be you're on the front lines. You got to deal with it.
Yeah, we were one of those. I can't remember what they called them, but it wasn't optional. We had to keep running.
Yeah. So essential. You were essential services. Yeah.
Yeah. That bay that we have right out here.
Yeah.
Where the coolers are now.
Yep.
That bay was stacked, I'd say, 15 to 20 feet high with our specimen boxes that we were using at the time.
Wow.
So you're talking, let's call it 2,500 square feet stacked, 15 to 20 feet high with these boxes. We were just going through them so fast.
Yeah.
Our dry ice went from, 1,000 pounds a week to, I think we were going through like 3,000, 4,000 pounds a week.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
That's crazy. I remember. We were here. I would go with your drivers into hospitals, and I tried to wear my own. We made our own masks.
Yep.
We had a filter inside, a special filter, and our family got together.
Yep.
We bought extra sewing machines, and we literally sat there and created masks, shipped them out to several of our clients. Who there was a time at the beginning where they could not find masks.
Oh yeah.
And if you can't have masks, you can't do work, you can't go out. And so we jumped on that. It was a lot of work, and I would say it would, it was income, but I wouldn't say it was, based on the work that we did, it was tough. But I remember we created a mask, I even brought it with today, but with our logo on it, and we went into a hospital, and they're like, stop, that mask is not official, take it off, here's our paper mask, And I remember they scanned our foreheads before we went in, stuff like that. They took our temperature. We couldn't. There was a lot of restrictions. So
it was a spooky time. In the beginning, really too, because you didn't know exactly what it was.
Yeah.
I had some friends that were in Italy, like right during the beginning of it.
Yeah.
And they said the hospitals it was absolutely nuts. She actually needed some emergency services while she was over there, and she said there were literally bodies just in the hallway.
I believe it.
Yeah. So it was a spooky time before we kind of got a grasp of what it was.
Yeah. Italy was devastated.
Oh, yeah.
The elderly population were devastated. My mom died from COVID.
Okay.
She lived out in Wisconsin, and she didn't believe in vaccines, and she got it, and it took her. So I get it. So let's pivot just a little bit. So we all got through COVID. So you are a multifaceted company. You've got automotive, you've got floral. What advice would you have to a younger generation now that millions of people want to get into this business? If you spend any time on social media, and that's our where we're at. We see a lot of people that want to get into the industry. They don't understand contracts. They don't understand terms. They don't understand requirements, insurances, licensing, any of it. What would your advice be to someone that's young that wants to get into the business?
Oh man, do your homework. Talk to somebody that's been doing it for a while.
Yeah.
Insurance, that's a real thing.
Yeah.
Some of those requirements. Minnesota, it can be really tricky operating 1099s, and
Yeah.
which is primarily what we are.
Right.
You know, I think my dad's big thing that he kind of instilled with me is just give us an opportunity. His line is, "Give us your dogs with fleas." So I'll actually use that when I'm talking to
I love it.
clients.
Yeah.
And you know, give us whatever it is that your current courier isn't able to do.
What's
You know,
your
give
pain
me a
point?
shot.
What's your
Yeah,
pain point?
What's your pain point? And you say it a little more eloquently than "give us your dogs with fleas."
I like it. I like it. I'm a
Yeah.
dog person, so.
Yeah. But you know, and that's kind of how we ended up getting into the medical aspect of it. Was we were doing these automotive deliveries going 150 miles out, and then you have some of these Fortune 500 companies that find out you're going to, you know, 150 miles. So from here to Duluth, for, you know, we were charging as little as $15 to go there same day,
Wow.
and you know, we're able to.
So does that
Save
depends
us
on the
money.
size of the package? You're not going to take a pallet to Duluth for that.
No, but if you've got, you know, specimens, I mean,
Yeah.
they don't take up any space.
Right.
You know, paperwork, small
Yeah.
small items, which is primarily what we do. I mean, we do some larger stuff. We operate primarily like ProMasters and smaller vehicles. We do have several dock trucks, but
Yeah.
you know, we're primarily smaller parcels.
Okay. So what's the future? What's the future look like? I mean, so by the way, I wanted to ask this, and Chris, if you could splice this in, how did you end up taking over the reins? I mean, I know Lynn is in Florida
Yep.
now, or at least on vacation visit.
Yep.
You know, how did you end up taking over the reins?
So, boy, that was probably 98, 99. I was a contractor building homes.
Wow.
I loved working with my hands like
Yeah.
that. I got in a motorcycle accident, and I wasn't able to work for a couple weeks. And my dad was running an ad for a driver for his flower delivery.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, "What does it pay?" And he told me, and it was 3 times what I was making at the time.
What?
Yeah. So this is 99, and I think the revenue for that route back then was anywhere from 65 to 75,000 delivering flowers.
Yeah.
And I was like, can I apply?
Yeah.
And he said, "Not a chance.
He said no.
Not a chance."
Why didn't he want you to be in the
he
industry?
knew me, and
Yeah.
I was a little bit of work.
Yeah.
I was trouble. I wasn't the ideal person to work with, you know, especially with it being my dad.
Yeah. That's unique. Having a family business is unique.
Yeah. And he ended up talking to my grandma, who's kind of the matriarch
Yeah.
of the family, the wise one. And she said, "You would hire an absolute stranger. You will hire your son, and that is the last I will hear about this."
I love it.
And he did, and I made him regret it for a year, and then I met a girl, and I needed to grow up a little bit,
Wow.
and started taking things a little more seriously. So for our wedding gift in 2005, he gave us 20% of MAP transportation,
That is amazing.
which at the time, I looked at Emily, I remember thinking, "Oh, this is really cool, I own
Yeah.
20% of a company."
Yeah.
And after they left, I looked at Emily and I said, "What does this even mean? This is 20% of nothing. There's nothing there." You know, I mean, it was the revenue that it was doing was probably, I don't know, $500,000 to $750,000 a year. So it wasn't much.
Yeah. Yeah.
And we just, you know, after that point, it just kind of grew, and I was driving at that time, so I had 20% of the company, but I was doing a route,
Yeah. Working it.
you know, and I said, you know, I think I need to get involved in some of these other aspects. I'd like to get out of the vehicle for a third of my day. And my dad said, you're going to find out very quickly that you need more time than that out of the vehicle. And he was right.
Yeah.
Within a year, I was doing strictly administrative stuff and meeting with clients and starting playing with technology, which ended up being huge.
Yeah.
we were on paper. And I think the flower pool still is.
Yeah, wow. I remember when we started out our first company, Alpha Stack Courier Services, we had magnet mount two-way radios, okay, where you had to put the antenna on the roof, and then we eventually graduated to bag phones, which 50 cents a minute
Oh yeah.
at the time. My God, for a new starting courier company, that was so tough.
Yeah.
But you do what you have to, and now it's a different thing. You know, the thing about the courier industry now is people see influencers online. You know, courier companies. How I made $2,000 a day in my box truck, and they want people want that. They want. I mean, we're affiliated with some people, and I'll maybe tell you off camera. Some of the people that have been in the industry for 7 years, and they're worth multi-millions.
Sure.
And so, as in life, everything is what you make it. How hard are you willing to work? People see the dollar signs, but they don't see the hard work. You know, as a medical courier, I mean, we were 24/7.
Yeah.
You know, I've driven most of my life. We answered phones at 3 in the morning. I did,
Yep.
and went out and did the delivery.
Sure.
And so, I've driven in blizzards. I've driven in storms of all kinds, and you have to understand, you got to count the cost. There's an old Hebrew saying about, no one fights a war without counting the cost, right? And so I'm online when I go live several times a week, and I'll just encourage people, count the costs, investigate what this really is, because here you are now, a person that can, I'm taking your valuable time where you've got emails that are screaming for your attention and operations that are screaming for your attention, but you're at a point in life now where you can take vacations, you can do certain things that you like to do. I know you guys do Sturgis, on a fairly regular basis, and there's things that you like to do, but it takes time to get there.
It does. Having the right team, I mean, that is everything. The right drivers, the right team.
Yeah.
We used to do Sturgis. Now I'm doing marathons. In the last
Nice.
3 years, I've run Berlin 3 times, London twice, Tokyo. I got back a week
incredible.
ago from South Africa, running Cape Town.
Yeah. That's amazing.
Boston in April. It's been a ride. Antarctica. I'm going to Antarctica in 3 weeks.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, there's an old saying, a man's gift makes a way for him. And being an entrepreneur and being in a family that is entrepreneurial, it can be horrible, it can be horrifying. Being in a family business, all the dynamics that go on in there, but it can be a real blessing.
It absolutely can be. And it has been for me and our family. With us, we all have one common thing.
Yeah.
And I think you and I have talked about that, our faith.
Yeah.
Kind of binds us together, and we realize that the company's not ours, it's his.
Yeah.
And we just try to be responsible and good stewards of what we've had, given the opportunity to be a part of.
Yeah, it's very cool. Well, all right, let's wrap it up. So I've got a route to run, and I hope we're about right on.
Yep.
So, Josh, I want to thank you so much,
thanks.
Obviously, for bringing us out here and for sitting down for a little bit and telling a little bit about your story. I appreciate it. Not every business is successful. We have our ups and downs. We could tell horror stories of great loss. And stories of great success, and that's the risk that you take. There are risks and there are rewards. And some people make it out alive and some people don't. And I think you guys have been blessed, and it's great to see and it's great to be a part of. So thank you again. Any last words you want to share with the community?
No, thanks for coming out. Appreciate you.
Thank you, Josh.
All right, thanks.
Appreciate it.
All right, sounds good.
Thanks.
All right, we're back. So yeah, that was a great example of a courier company owner talking about what they did and their journey, their evolution from starting off as a floral company, getting into auto parts, and then into medical. And now, I don't know if he said it in that interview, but I don't remember. But they now have their own floral fulfillment center on site. And so, guys, it all starts with an idea. Courier companies can take it wherever you want, however hard you want to work. There's really no limit. The only limit is you. And so dream big, Get your training from Integrity Medical. Learn from other people who've been there. That's what this podcast is all about. And then take what you learn from there and apply it to your journey. And the only one that stops you or holds you back is you.
Yep. Absolutely. I think that's a great message to close on. So if you're watching this
Awesome.
on YouTube, don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel. We have a whole playlist of these podcasts that you can binge. If you like to listen to the podcast, you can listen on Apple Podcasts, the Podbean app, Spotify, Amazon Music, iHeartRadio, Player FM, and Podchaser. And we will see you on the next one.
Hey everybody, Ken with Integrity Medical Courier Training here.
And this is what's happening, right? So with such a serious subject, but he's able to inject humor. So it's in our best interest to invest not only in safety, but give some of those dividends back to the drivers.
I'm like, how do you start this medical courier stuff? And nobody had a mentorship. Nobody told me what industry events to go through.
So I was thinking, like, I need a name for my first conference. And it just dawned on me, use the name that they keep calling me. And I was like, yeah, the Boss Maker Conference.
You're learning so many important things, and I'm so proud of you.
Yeah, that sounds a bit expensive. I think I'll just train them myself. After all, this isn't rocket science.
And we have liftoff of Antares.